What is up, fantasy? It is me, Zach Pfeiffer, and Heath is here too. She's just hanging out. It's time for a recap for episode 3, y'all. It was another emotional episode, and I don't know about you all, but I feel like we're like almost ready to play Survivor. We're almost ready to play Survivor, and then Yana loses again. And it's just been, I don't know. I haven't been able to sink my teeth into the season yet. And I really still like a lot of these characters individually. But the vibe I'm getting right now is like we had the Jelinski with all the quitting. And then we had like Jess who was like, get me out of here. And then we had this like medical evac, which is like so freaking heartbreaking. It makes me so sad. But yeah, I'm just like wanting to see people's gameplay play out. You know, like the Randon Venus storyline is now kind of dead in the water, leaving Venus out to dry, and you have like this Bhanu emotional arc that we had that didn't go anywhere. We just know that he's probably next. Although if there is a tribe swap, which I don't think there is based on the preview, yeah, he's kind of screwed if they lose again. Or Kenzie, apparently. I don't know, but let's dive into this episode. Let's talk about it a little bit and see what we come up with. I'll go over points and all that stuff and give you some of my insight. The first big thing I recognized about this episode that really threw me for a loop was we went to Siga Beach and it said 4 days ago. We're on day 7 and we do a flashback 4 days ago. And albeit, like, Siga hasn't been to tribal yet, so it doesn't matter, but we had an idol discovered, and secretly discovered. It's probably one of the first in the new era that has been found without anyone else knowing about it. And as far as we know, Jem hasn't told a single person. So it's really interesting that they showed us this story now. Mostly because I assumed Siga was going to tribal council. I assumed that because they showed us this, it would pay off at the end. And then my second thought halfway through the episode was maybe they're giving us a little teaser and they're going to fake us out and have Nami go. Because we have the idol over there with Randon. That's not what happened, y'all. Really strange, really strange. So, yeah, Jem gets points for finding the Beware advantage. And if she does not activate in this next episode, she will lose a point for every episode she cannot vote. We go over to Yanu's beach, and it's just, like, sad. It's, like, really sad over there. Like, we have we have Kenzie and we have Tiffany, like kind of really strongly working together. And they also have Q. Oh, pardon me, y'all. But then they also have Bhanu. And I think Bhanu feels like he's on the outs based on episode 2's tribal council. And a lot of this is Q reassuring Bhanu and being like, I want to work with you. And listen, like, I know you feel like you're on the bottom, but I want to get Kenzie out. And I think Q is accurate about this. I do think that, like, there is a world where we see Kenzie getting the boot sooner than Bhanu. But after this last episode, I honestly do not see that happening for Bhanu. He spilled the beans so hard of that journey, and it's not a lot of recovering from that. So, yeah. Over at Nami, like, we got some, like, you know, like, it was a very quiet episode for Tevin and Soda. We got a little bit more explanation about Randon and, like, Venus's like kind of situation, but we did not get a lot over there. Nothing really stands out to me. So I'm just gonna dive into the challenge. I guess we got the Hunter bit. Yeah, Hunter, like, proved he's a big provider, and he's like, I'm gonna catch fish. He caught a fish. He got a point for that. Yeah, so I guess there was like a lifting up Hunter so that he could dominate in the challenge, as we saw as a true hunter. You know, Hunter becomes the hunter. So yeah, not a lot of like beach life stuff that I like remembered. Q said the title of the episode with Wackadoodles win to Bhanu, so he gets 3 points for that. Jem got 2 points for the Beware advantage. Jem read 2 separate notes, got a point for each note. And then, yeah, we get to the reward, and it's pretty brutal. Let's talk about, yeah, I thought Yanu had it. It was so freaking close. And Hunter, unbelievable. Like, way to really show everyone your cards. You were doing really good at being sneaky and quiet, and then all of a sudden, Venus was right. You know, like, Venus saw right through you, and I think it will put a target on Hunter on how well he did in this challenge because he won it for his tribe. He came back for the back and ended up winning, which is crazy. And then it's a race between Siga and Yanu again. And this one's closer than it's ever been before. Ben's missing. He can't quite land them. Q's missing. Tiffany lands a couple, but Q can't land a single bag. And just as they look like Yanu was going to pull ahead, Yanu drops one, Siga makes one, and Siga gets second and avoids the trap council. And we see Yanu going back to tribal council again, and it's just devastating, y'all. Like, I really, really do not like seeing one tribe get decimated in the pre-merge. It is not fun. Maybe like once in a blue moon. It's not fun anymore. It keeps happening. And I think this is a product of, one, only having certain beaches that have like certain resources. It is no secret that since we've been in Fiji for like many years now, certain beaches have more resources than others. And there's one particular beach, I forget which one it is, but it just doesn't have food, doesn't have coconuts, doesn't have fruit. It's been like used up in the past couple of seasons. So I think a remedy would just be having two tribes again. Two tribes would be fantastic. Give me 9 and 9, give me big tribal councils, and then like do twists along the way. But like the 3 tribe format is giving us what is happening now, and it's just like really hard to pay attention to. I guess a big important thing before the challenge was that Randon woke up and his arm was numb. He couldn't close it. And that's wild and scary, because my first impulse was like, did he have a stroke in his sleep? I don't know. He gets checked out by Dr. Will, who is Australian, so he gets 3 points instead of just 2 points for his medical attention, because you get extra points if your medical team is Australian. They're always Australian. And they're like, we'll keep an eye on you. I was like, oh, I think Randon's fine. Then there's a journey to go on, and Ben, Bhanu, and Liz all go. They all get a point for that. And it's a little bit different than last time. They randomly draw rocks to decide who plays and is going to risk their vote. If they win the challenge, they get an extra vote. If they lose their vote. I hate journeys that force people to risk. I think that when they go on journeys, like it should be autonomous. Like depending on the situation you're on, you should be able to be like, I want to risk my vote or I don't want to risk my vote. And forcing Bhanu and Ben to play this puzzle to risk their vote and have both of them lose it is frustrating. It feels like their arms are tied, And I just wish that wasn't how this episode worked in the journey. I wish it was like you all can choose. I think the best iteration of this was like 43, I think, when it was like you can either risk or protect your vote. And if you protect it, you're always like in the clear. So bummer about that. Bummer to see Bhanu break down and just spill everything to Ben and Liz. Like they got the entire story about Kenzie, about Tiffany, about Q. Like I think Kenzie's game has been ruined now because of Bhanu. And I think that, let me talk to you about social game, everybody. You never kick a dog when it's down. Just never. And the fact that I think Kenzie has been treating Bhanu as like a pretty pitiful player is going to ruin her game. You got to be nice to everyone. And even if you think you got someone completely beat, you never know if their ghost is going to come back and haunt you. See this one happening. And then we are getting ready to have a tribal council where Q is like, I will vote for Kenzie with you, Bhanu. And Bhanu is like, I'm crying. And then the other two are like, oh my God, so sorry, y'all. I'm going to vote for Bhanu. And then out of nowhere, Bhanu's prayers are answered because Jeff appears on Nami's beach and pulls Randon from the game, and it's devastating. It's so sad. Medical evacs are my least favorite thing about Survivor. I get like, you gotta stay healthy, you gotta protect yourself. But to be removed forcefully from the game so early and literally by a mistake that's not your fault. It's not like you're climbing rocks and fell, Matthew. You literally fell asleep and then you woke up and half your body was numb. Like that's devastating. I wouldn't handle that well. If I got out there and to live my dream and then got pulled for a silly reason like that, and then even more 48 hours later, my arm's working fine, would not have handled it well. And good on Randon for handling it as well as he could, but that sucks. And with that, Randon is our third boot of the season, saving Bhanu or Kenzie from what could have been their downfall. Really sad. So that with a medical evac, Randon gets 7 points instead of just the 3 that he got with his medical checkup. So those 3 become 7. Ben and Bhanu lost a vote, so they both lose a point. Yeah, and then we got, our confessionals, we got a cry count. Also, if you've been eliminated, so Jess and Jelinski, they will get a point for every episode after they've been eliminated. So Jelinski got a point this episode, Jess got a point this episode. Last episode, Jelinski got a point. Next week, Jelinski, Jess, and Random will all get a point. Yeah, we had a couple of advantages played, a couple twists this week. If you didn't read the email, so someone on the Island of Mystery got an advantage, and the advantage was to exile any player for 1 episode, preventing them from getting any points that episode. And this individual decided to, exile Randon. So Randon didn't get any single one of those points that he got on his final episode. So well played. Sucks if you have Brandon on your team, like me. Yeah, more twists to come, y'all. We also had a recruitment advantage being played by Dennis, who recruited Jen to his team. And then we had Lynn play the Supercharged Challenge advantage, which doubles any challenge points that her tribe receives during the episode. And there were a lot, and Lynn got 18 extra points for that one advantage play. So well played, everybody. There are a lot more advantages to be had, so if you haven't found one yet, don't worry. I'm sure you'll find one eventually. Yeah, and I guess for next week's episode, who's going home? I don't think there's a swap based on scenes from them competing in a challenge in the same tribes. So looking at the breakdown, I do think Bhanu will go home next for Yanu after he spilled the beans with Liz and Ben. If Sika goes, oh my God, I'm so tired. I think they'll either vote Tim or Mariah off, but I personally think that Tim might get the boot, depending on how his social game has been over these past couple of days. And over at Nami, this is the interesting tribe, and I really do want to see them go to Tribal Council, because I think that Venus has been on the bottom for quite some time now, but Random was also on the bottom, but now Randon's gone, and now Venus knows that there's an idol re-hidden out there that she can find, potentially, because that went home with Randon, unless he gave it to her. We'll find out next episode. I honestly, looking at the group of them, probably Liz is still on the bottom there. I think Liz could probably get the boot, but scenes in the next episode have Tevin turning on Soda. So is Soda as insulated as I thought she was? Ooh, I don't know. But if I had to say who was going home next week, I am going to say that I think we're gonna get Bhanu booted off next week, y'all. Another Yanu loss will kill me, but hey, that's Survivor. And that's all I got for you all this week. That was episode 3, and I'm looking forward to episode 4, hoping that we go from here. No more quitting energy, no more I'm gonna get hurt and get pulled from the game energy. Just winners all the way, let's go. Happy Survivor, y'all. I'll see you for episode 4. Mwah.